Executive Director of Texans for Accountable Government. Woo! We are a transpartisan nonprofit political action committee that formed about a year and a half ago based out of Central Texas here. We focus our efforts on local and state politics down in the city of Austin, City Hall right down the road, and of course the legislature, the building right here, the Capitol building. So we want to thank everybody for coming out. One of the themes for today, again, was transpartisanship. As Texans for Accountable Government, we've recognized that there's a major problem occurring in our country right now, and that problem is that we, the people, are too busy fighting each other when we should be fighting the real enemy, and in my opinion, that's anybody that would seek to use government in order to exploit others for their own ends. So if we can all unite, right. See, there's a problem with government, in my opinion, and in that it has a monopoly on coercion. So what happens in that situation is individuals that are greedy or that don't want to do their own fair share or that don't want to participate in the market, they inevitably flock towards the institution of government. Now it's up to we the people to ensure that if an individual of this capacity does get his hands on the reins of government, that we throw him out next time. That's right. But unfortunately, we the people, time and time again, have dropped the ball. And I'm so grateful and I feel so blessed to be alive at a time when the people are waking up in mass and they're picking that ball right up and they're running with it. All the way to the end zone. Let me tell you a little bit more about Texans for Accountable Government, some of the issues that we've tackled. I saw there was a little bit of disagreement earlier, and I would hope that the individuals in this crowd today could agree with the positions that Texans for Accountable Government has taken. We found a pattern. Whenever you find an issue that multiple different parties, multiple ideologies, multiple individuals who are very different and individualistic can get behind, that's a very key issue. There's a reason why we're uniting and blurring these partisan lines with these particular issues. It's because there's very important issues respective to our civil liberties, respective to our wallets, respective to our families, respective to the United States and the Constitution. So one of the first battles that we got behind was the police blood withdrawal issue, the vampire cops. So Chief Art Acevedo, in usual city council stance, wanted to take federal money. We've noticed a pattern with a lot of these issues that we're working on. And that's that a lot of them are emanating from the federal level via grant money. So what happens is these cities, because they're struggling to make ends meet right now with the economic crisis we have on our hands, they're willing to voluntarily take this federal money with strings attached, if only to make ends meet and to do their job and to fulfill their duties as elected representatives. Well, unfortunately, that happens time and time again, and when that occurs, the city of Austin and the people of Texas no longer have a say in those particular policies. Well, we managed to stop that from happening. Chief Acevedo was going to take federal grant money from the National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration to train the DWI task force to do forced blood withdrawals on individuals if they're suspected of drinking and driving. I'm sure many in this crowd have never drunk and drive in their entire lives, but it still represents yet another step towards the totalitarian dictatorship that we've seen in other countries, and we definitely don't want that happening here. So Texans for Accountable Government rallied together. We put together a coalition with the Travis County Republican Party, Libertarian Party, Green Party, Democratic Party, NAACP, LULAC, ACLU. All of these people were willing to put their differences aside, if only to fight together on this one issue. And you know what? We effectively prevented Chief Acevedo from bringing that program to Austin. So it just shows you that if you have the will, and if you have the people and the power, and if you're in the right, which we were on those issues, nobody wants police officers jamming needles in people's arm. If you actually just act and believe in yourself, then you can be successful. That was one of the first political victories I ever experienced in 8 years of politics. I got to tell you, it felt really good. So after that, the Texas legislative session had started. We came across a bill, Senate Bill 298, that would set up sobriety checkpoints in the state of Texas. Now, there's 11 states that have held out on that. And again, regardless of what an individual feels about DWI laws, checkpoints are obviously in opposition to the Fourth Amendment. We have a protection from unreasonable searches and seizures. Our people, papers, and effects should not be violated. Well, unfortunately, that bill would have done that. So Texans for Accountable Government, there was about 35 of us. The hearing was supposed to happen at 2 p.m. Well, the legislative session was backed up and jammed up because government's inefficient. And what happened was it didn't end up ending until 2 a.m., but I'm proud to say 35 members of Texans for Accountable Government stuck it out with us the full 12 hours, and wouldn't you know it, Senate Bill 298 was defeated. No checkpoints in the state of Texas. I should say no checkpoints for now, because you can bet your bottom dollar that bill will be resurfacing in 2011, but we'll be organized and united to defeat it again, right? And here's the catch. This time, not only are we going to be reactionary, fighting against their bills and their further push and their further encroachment of government, but we're going to come armed with a bill to ban checkpoints in the state of Texas for the rest of time, right? Are you guys going to help us get it passed? Woo! Okay, shortly after that, this is after the legislative session had ended, we found that a bill slipped through the cracks and it got passed by both houses, attached in some funny shenanigans like the state house tends to pull. It was Senate Bill 1440, which would have allowed the Texas Child Protective Services to take your children without proper due process, without first going before a judge. It would have allowed them to actually take the children's records and take the child themselves from your home without having proper process. Regardless of how you feel about the CPS, I'm sure we could all agree, according to the Fifth Amendment, we all have a right to due process. So if the state's going to come in and snag something, they better at least go before a judge first. Well, that wasn't going to happen. This bill would have not allowed that. So we caught wind of it. We organized a veto campaign. We built a strong coalition with a lot of conservative groups, and we managed to get Rick Perry to veto this bill. He got 17,000 plus calls to only, 400 in support of it? Going to Katie Brewer for help over here. She's not around. It was 17,000 calls to about 400 calls in support of it, and we effectively had that vetoed. It was the biggest veto of the entire session. We owe a lot of the people in this audience the help on that one. So that's another victory right there. And again, transpartisan, blurring the lines, it's really starting to work at the local and state house. The final thing that we managed to battle back was in the special session, they were going to have, they had to renew the Texas Department of Transportation. Well, one of those bills would have renewed what's called comprehensive development agreements. Anybody in the state of Texas, I'm sure, is opposed to the Trans-Texas Corridor, right? That's genuinely a transpartisan issue. There's people on the left and right, all up and down the I-35 corridor that united in a populist fashion. The farmers, the ranchers came out, threw their fists and pitchforks in the air, and were able to smack it down, slow it down. Well, at the legislative house, they would have renewed the comprehensive development agreements, which is a public-private partnership scheme that allows for public funds to go for private benefit for these different corporations. Many of them are from across the ocean in Spain, which is completely un-American if you ask me. So what we did is we lobbied hard, along with multiple groups, TURF, Texans United for Reform and Freedom, the Libertarian Party, TAG, the Republican Party. Again, we united across the political spectrum. There's even some Democratic senators and legislators that helped on that battle as well. And we were able to stop comprehensive development agreements in the state of Texas. So the Trans-Texas Corridor slowed down quite a bit. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, Rick Perry.